News of what happened in the Zorlathian High Council chamber spread across Earth like wildfire. Within hours, the recording was playing on every screen on the planet. People watched in horror as the alien council laughed about the deaths of human children. They watched with pride as Lisa Morris stood up to the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Olivia Wells became a symbol of human courage. Her face, standing beside her daughter's photo, became an image seen around the world. In her quiet grief and dignity, humanity saw itself. 3 days after the confrontation, Ambassador Lisa Morris arrived back on Earth. She went straight to the United Nations headquarters in New York, where the leaders of all Earth nations had gathered for an emergency session. The Great Hall was packed. When Lisa entered, everyone stood. The applause lasted for 5 minutes. Lisa nodded in acknowledgement, but her face remained serious. This was not a time for celebration. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began when the hall finally quieted, "I come before you with grave news. The Zorlathian Empire has revealed itself as an enemy of humanity. They have murdered our children. They have laughed at our grief. They have dismissed us as primitives unworthy of respect." She paused, looking around the vast chamber. But in doing so, they have made a critical error. They have united humanity as nothing has before. The assembly erupted in applause again. Lisa waited for it to die down. "We face a threat greater than any in human history," she continued. "The Zorlathian Empire controls thousands of worlds. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. Their warships number in the thousands. By any logical measure, we cannot win a direct conflict." The chamber fell silent. "But," Lisa said, her voice growing stronger, "humans have never been limited by what is logical. Throughout our history, we have faced impossible odds. We have been outnumbered, outgunned, and still found a way to prevail. Why? Because when we are fighting for our children, for our future, there is nothing we cannot accomplish." In the back of the chamber, Admiral Kate Bennett listened intently. As the highest-ranking officer in Earth's Space Command, she knew better than anyone the military reality they faced. 12 warships against 12,000. It was suicide. Yet as Lisa spoke, Kate felt something stir inside her. A sense of purpose. A certainty that humanity would find a way. After the speech, Kate approached Lisa. "That was impressive, Ambassador, but now we need a plan that doesn't get us all killed." Lisa nodded. "I have some ideas, and I believe we have allies we haven't met yet." They moved to a secure room deep below the UN building. There, Lisa shared everything she had learned from Zexlar about the Zorlathian Empire. "They're not as united as they appear," she explained. "There are dozens of species under their rule, many of them unhappy, and even among the ruling Zorlathians there are those who disagree with their leaders' actions." Kate studied the star maps Lisa had brought back. "Even with internal divisions, they outnumber us massively. We need to be smarter. We need to use their size against them." While Earth's leaders planned, the parents of the Starseeker children formed a powerful advocacy group. Led by Olivia Wells, they traveled the world, sharing their stories, keeping the memory of their children alive. Their message was simple: this must never happen again. In Washington, D.C., Olivia addressed a crowd of over 1 million people. "My daughter Amy wanted to learn about alien life. She believed in a universe where different species could learn from each other, grow together. The Zorlathians took her life, but they cannot take her dream. We will build the galaxy she imagined, but we must be strong enough to defend it." The crowd roared its approval. Similar scenes played out in cities around the world. Humanity was united in a way it had never been before. Meanwhile, Captain Ryan Carter led a dangerous. Lisa Morris stood alone in her quarters aboard the Endeavour. In 6 hours, she would face the Zorlathian High Council. Her hands trembled slightly as she reviewed her notes one last time. The evidence was solid. The recordings from the Void Hunter showed the Starseeker being destroyed. The leaked military orders proved it was deliberate. The testimony from Zexlar confirmed the Zorlathians' true intentions toward humanity. But would it be enough? The Empire controlled thousands of worlds. Their military might was overwhelming. If this confrontation went badly, humanity could face extinction. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. It was Ryan Carter. "The secure link to Earth is ready," he said. "The families are standing by." Lisa nodded. "Thank you, Ryan. And the holographic projectors? Installed in the council chamber, they don't know what we're planning." Ryan hesitated. "Are you sure about this?" "Once we do this, there's no going back." Lisa looked at the images on her tablet. The smiling faces of the 17 children who had died on the Starseeker. "I'm sure. They need to answer for what they've done." On Earth, Olivia Wells prepared for the most important moment of her life. She sat in a special studio at the United Nations building in New York. Around her, other parents of the Starseeker children took their places. Each held a photograph of their lost child. "In 30 minutes, you'll be projected into the Zorlathian High Council chamber," a technician explained. "Ambassador Morris will signal when it's time. Remember, they won't be able to touch you, but they'll see and hear you as if you were really there." Olivia clutched Amy's photo tighter. Her daughter had been so excited about the Young Explorers program. "This is for you, sweetheart," she whispered. In the Zorlathian High Council chamber, Lisa arrived with her small team. The room was massive, designed to impress and intimidate. The 7 council members sat on elevated platforms looking down at the humans. Supreme Elder Kraz spoke first. "Ambassador Morris, you requested this urgent meeting. What matter is so important?" Lisa stepped forward. Her voice was calm and clear. "I come before you today regarding the destruction of the Earth vessel Starseeker." Kraz's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. "We have already expressed our condolences for that tragic accident." "It was no accident," Lisa said. She nodded to Ryan, who activated a projection screen. "This is footage from your own warship, the Void Hunter." The recording played. The council chamber fell silent as everyone watched the Zorlathian warship fire repeatedly on the small human vessel until it broke apart. The final images showed the debris and bodies floating in space. "This," Lisa said, her voice still steady, "is what your empire calls an accident." The council members exchanged glances. Then, to Lisa's shock, Supreme Elder Kraz laughed. It was a harsh sound, like stones grinding together. "Ambassador Morris," he said, "you misunderstand. We never claimed it was an unintentional act. We merely said it was unfortunate." Lisa stared at him. "You admit to destroying our ship?" "Your vessel entered a restricted testing area," another council member said. "It was eliminated as a security measure." "A security measure?" Lisa felt, her control slipping. There were children on that ship. 17 children. This time, several council members laughed. The sound echoed in the large chamber. "Ambassador," Kraz said, his voice dripping with condescension. "Your species' emotional attachment to your young is a weakness. In time, as you evolve, you will learn to be more practical." Lisa had expected denial. She had prepared for lies. She had not prepared for them to admit the crime and mock human grief. "You see," continued Kraz, "in our 10,000 years of expansion, we have encountered many emerging species like yours. Those who cannot control their emotions do not survive long in the galaxy." Another council member leaned forward. "Consider this a lesson. Your species will need to adapt to our rules if you wish to have a place in our empire." The council members nodded in agreement. They seemed to think the matter was settled. Lisa took a deep breath. It was time for her final move. "Before we continue, there are some people who wish to address this council." She nodded to Ryan again. He pressed a button on his wrist device. Suddenly, the air in the center of the chamber shimmered. 27 human figures appeared, projected from Earth. Each was a parent of someone who died on the Starseeker. They stood in a circle, facing outward toward the council. Each held a photograph. The Zorlathian council members shifted uncomfortably. They had not expected this. Olivia Wells stepped forward from the group. Her face was streaked with tears, but her voice was strong. "My name is Olivia Wells. This is my daughter, Amy." She held up the photograph. She was 12 years old. She loved science. She wanted to study alien life forms, to learn from them, to understand them. One by one, the other parents stepped forward. Each spoke their child's name. Each showed a photograph. Each shared a small detail about who that child had been. A boy who built model spaceships. A girl who wrote stories about aliens. A pair of twins who dreamed of being the first humans to visit another world. The Zorlathian council members shifted in their seats. The laughter was gone now. Some looked away from the holograms. Others stared as if seeing humans clearly for the first time. When all the parents had spoken, they stood in silence, holding the photographs before them. Lisa stepped into the circle of parents. She looked up at the council, her eyes moving from one alien face to the next. "You murdered our children," she said softly. The words seemed to hang in the air. "And you laugh?" The chamber was completely silent now. Even the guards along the walls stood motionless. "You have ruled the stars for 10,000 years, Lisa continued. "You have amazing technology, vast fleets, weapons that can destroy planets. But today you have shown us that you have forgotten something fundamental about sentient beings." She moved to stand beside Olivia. "We will sacrifice everything to protect our young. It is not a weakness. It is our greatest strength." Lisa walked slowly around the circle of parents, touching each holographic shoulder as if they were really there. "You think humans are primitive because we care deeply. You think our emotions make us weak. That was your first mistake." She returned to the center of the circle. "Your second mistake was believing that your power makes you invulnerable, that you could murder children and face no consequences." For the first time, a flicker of unease crossed Supreme Elder Kraz's face. "Are you threatening the Zorlathian Empire, Ambassador Morris?" "I am telling you a simple truth," Lisa replied. "You have awakened something in humanity that you cannot comprehend, something that will not rest until justice is done." Another council member leaned forward. "Your species has only 12 warships. We have 12,000. If you seek conflict, you will be destroyed." Lisa smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Numbers mean nothing when faced with a parent protecting their child. Now multiply that by 8 billion humans. She gestured to the parents around her. These people have lost their children, but every human on Earth and in our colonies sees these children as their own. Every human now stands with these parents. The council chamber was so quiet that Lisa could hear the soft hum of the holographic projectors. The council members looked at each other, their three-eyed gazes communicating silently. Finally, Supreme Elder Kraz spoke. "What does humanity want, Ambassador Morris? Compensation? An apology?" Lisa shook her head. "What we want cannot be so easily given. We want justice. We want recognition of our sovereignty. We want the galaxy to know what you have done." She nodded to Ryan, who pressed another button on his device. "This conversation is being broadcast to every world in your empire, with communication capability. It is also being sent to every other spacefaring species you trade with." The council members jumped to their feet, shouting in their own language. Guards moved forward, weapons raised. "Kill us if you wish," Lisa said calmly. "The broadcast cannot be stopped. The truth is already spreading across the stars." Kraz raised a hand, stopping the guards. "This is an outrage, a violation of diplomatic protocol. Murdering children is a violation of something far more important than protocol," Lisa replied. One of the younger council members leaned toward Kraz, speaking urgently in their language. After a moment, Kraz sat back down. "It seems," he said, slowly, "that we have underestimated your species, Ambassador Morris. Perhaps we should revisit our approach to these negotiations." Lisa shook her head. "There will be no more negotiations. Not with your government. You have shown us who you truly are." She turned to address the entire chamber, knowing her words were being heard across the empire. "To the people of the Zorlathian worlds, we do not consider you our enemies. We believe most of you are good beings who would be horrified by what your leaders have done. We ask you to look at these children. Ask yourself if their deaths were justified. Ask yourself if you want to be part of an empire that murders the innocent and laughs about it. Lisa turned back to the council. This meeting is over. The human delegation will be leaving your station immediately. Any attempt to stop us will be considered an act of war. With that, Lisa and her team turned and walked out of the chamber. The holograms of the parents faded away, the images of their lost children the last to disappear. As they hurried back to the Endeavor, Ryan spoke quietly. Do you think it worked? 5 years passed since Lisa Morris stood before the Zorlathian High Council and spoke the words that changed the galaxy. You murdered our children, and you laugh? Those 5 years had seen more change than the previous 100. The once mighty Zorlathian Empire had fractured. Dozens of worlds had broken away, declaring independence. The great war fleets that had terrorized the stars for thousands of years were now reduced to a defensive force around the Zorlathian home systems. And humanity, once dismissed as primitives, now stood at the center of a new alliance of worlds. Lisa stood at the window of her office in the newly built Galactic Council headquarters on neutral territory, a space station orbiting a star at the junction of several species' territories. Outside, ships from 20 different worlds moved in careful patterns. Some had been enemies just years ago. Now they worked together. Ambassador Morris, said her assistant, they're ready for you. Lisa nodded. Today was the day the new Galactic Charter would be signed, the document that would establish rules of cooperation and mutual respect among all spacefaring civilizations. The document that would ensure no children of any species would be carelessly murdered again. As Lisa walked toward the Great Council chamber, she thought about the path that had led here. The war with the Zorlathian Empire had not been quick or easy. After the first battle, there had been others. The Zorlathians had adapted, had fought back with all their ancient cunning and power. But they had never understood what they were fighting against. They saw humanity's alliances with other species as simple strategy. They couldn't comprehend that humans genuinely cared about the freedom and rights of all sentient beings. It was that care, that empathy the Zorlathians had mocked, that ultimately defeated them. World after world had joined the human-led alliance, not out of fear, but out of hope for a better future. The council chamber was enormous, with seats for representatives from 50 different species. Most were filled today. Lisa took her place at the speaker's podium. 5 years ago, she began, humanity was new to the galactic community. We were eager to learn, to share, to grow together with other intelligent species among the stars. She paused, looking around the chamber. Some of the beings she saw were so different from humans that communication had been challenging at first. Some breathed different air. Some saw in wavelengths humans couldn't perceive. But they had found common ground. Instead of welcome, we experienced tragedy, Lisa continued. A ship carrying our children was destroyed. When we sought justice, we were laughed at. We were told our emotional connection to our young was a weakness. A murmur went through the chamber. Many of the representatives had heard this story, but it still moved them. That laughter changed everything. It revealed the truth about the old order, a galaxy ruled by fear and power, where the strong dominated the weak, where life was cheap. Lisa's voice grew stronger. We chose a different path. We chose to build a new order based on mutual respect, on cooperation, on the belief that every sentient being has value, that every child of every species deserves to grow up in peace. She gestured to the document displayed on screens around the chamber. Today we formalize that choice. The Galactic Charter establishes not an empire, not a hierarchy, but a community, a place where each species brings its unique gifts and perspectives, where we learn from each other and grow together. The applause was thunderous, a cacophony of sounds as each species expressed approval in their own way. After the ceremony, Lisa met with a group of visitors she had specially invited. Olivia Wells was there, older now, her face lined with experience but her eyes clear and purposeful. Beside her stood other parents of the Starseeker children. They had become a powerful voice for peace in the years since the tragedy. I wish Amy could see this, Olivia said, looking around the magnificent station. Lisa squeezed her hand. In a way, she does. All our children do. They're why we built it. Olivia nodded. The Amy Wells School opens next month. Children from 15 different species will learn together there. It was a project Olivia had poured her heart into, an interspecies educational facility named after her daughter and the other children of the Starseeker. The school would teach not just sciences and arts, but understanding and empathy across species boundaries. She would have loved that, Lisa said. Later that day, Lisa had another important meeting. Captain Ryan Carter, now Admiral Carter, arrived with a special guest. Zexalar, once a junior Zorlathian diplomat, now led the reformed government of his homeworld. Ambassador Morris, Zexalar said, his 3 yellow eyes blinking in the pattern that Lisa had learned signified respect. It is good to see you again. And you, Prime Minister, Lisa replied. Your people have come a long way. Zexalar nodded. We had much to learn. For too long we believed power was the only truth in the universe. You showed us another way. The me. 3 of them walked to a viewport overlooking the docking area. A Zorlathian ship was arriving. The first official diplomatic mission from the reformed government to the new Galactic Council. There was a time I would have destroyed that ship without a second thought, Ryan said quietly. And I would have. Understood. Zexalar replied. After what our old government did. But that's not who we chose to be, Lisa said. Any of us. Ryan nodded. The hardest lesson of these 5 years wasn't how to fight. It was knowing when to stop fighting. When to offer a hand instead of a fist. Zexalar made a gesture with his long fingers that approximated a human nod. My people still struggle with this. For 10,000 years we saw compassion as weakness. It is not easy to unlearn such thinking. But you are unlearning it, Lisa said. That's what matters. The 3 of them, once enemies, now allies in building a better galaxy, watched as the Zorlathian delegation disembarked from their ship. Later that evening, Lisa returned to her quarters. She was tired, but satisfied. The charter had been signed. The new council was in session, and tomorrow they would dedicate the memorial. She touched a small screen on her desk and a hologram appeared. It showed the 17 children of the Starseeker, their faces smiling, forever young. Lisa had kept this image with her through all the years of struggle, through the battles and negotiations, the victories and setbacks. We did it, she whispered to them. The next morning, the entire station gathered for the memorial dedication. In the central plaza, a beautiful structure of crystal and light had been built. It contained the names and images of the Starseeker children, along with a simple message in the languages of all member species. They came to the stars in peace. Their loss taught us the true meaning of justice. Their memory guides us toward a better future. As Lisa stood with the assembled diplomats and leaders, she thought about how far they had come. The journey had been painful. There had been times when it seemed easier to give in to hatred, to seek vengeance rather than justice. The Zorlathian Empire had killed children and laughed about it. How easy it would have been to become like them, in response. But humanity had chosen a harder path. Yes, they had fought when necessary, had developed fearsome new weapons and tactics, but they had never forgotten what they were fighting for. Not conquest, not dominance, but the right of all, sentient beings to live in peace and raise their children without fear. Olivia Wells stepped forward to activate the memorial. As she pressed her hand to the control panel, the structure came to life. Light flowed through it, forming patterns that seemed to dance and play like children among the stars. 5 years ago, Olivia said to the gathered representatives, my daughter Amy and 16 other children set out to learn about the universe. They never came home. But in their memory we have built something that will endure for generations. She gestured to the memorial, now glowing with soft, warm light. This is not just a monument to loss. It is a promise to all the children of all species across the galaxy. A promise that we will not repeat the mistakes of the past. That we will find better ways to resolve our differences. That we will see the value in all sentient life. As Olivia spoke, Lisa noticed something remarkable. Among the crowd were Zorlathian children. brought by the new diplomatic delegation. They stood with human children and the young of other species, watching the memorial with wide eyes. Some held hands across species boundaries. It was a sight that would have been unimaginable 5 years ago. After the ceremony, one of the Zorlathian children approached Lisa. The child looked up at her with 3 curious yellow eyes. "Are you the one who spoke to our old leaders?" the child asked in careful human speech. Lisa nodded. "I am." "My teacher says you changed everything," the child said. "Is that true?" Lisa considered the question. "No," she said finally. "I just spoke the truth. It was everyone together who changed things, all the people and beings who chose to build something better." The child seemed to think about this. "I am glad," it said finally. "The old ways were not good. My parent says we are happier now that we are not trying to control everyone." Lisa smiled. "That is very wise of your parent." As the child returned to its group, Ryan came to stand beside Lisa. "Well, Ambassador," he said, "it seems we've achieved the impossible, peace among the stars." Lisa shook her head. "Not impossible, just very, very difficult, and still fragile." "Worth fighting for, though," Ryan said. "Worth living for," Lisa corrected. "Worth building day by day." The stars looked different from the viewing deck of the spaceship Endeavour. Lisa Morris stood with her hands clasped behind her back. Her blue uniform was crisp and perfect. As Earth's top diplomat, she knew today would change human history forever. "Ambassador, they're hailing us again," said Alan Wright, her communications officer. His young face showed both fear and excitement. Lisa nodded. "Put them through." The screen filled with the face of a Zorlathian. The alien had gray-blue skin and 3 yellow eyes arranged in a triangle. It was the 5th time Lisa had seen one, but the sight still made her heart beat faster. "Ambassador Morris," the alien said in a voice that sounded like stones grinding together. "The High Council awaits your arrival. Your ship has permission to dock at our central station." "Thank you, Commander Zethkar," Lisa replied. "We look forward to beginning these historic talks." When the screen went dark, Lisa let out a long breath. Humans had been in space for over a century. They had built colonies on Mars, Europa, and even a few planets around nearby stars. But they had never met another intelligent species until the Zorlathian scout ship appeared at the edge of solar system 3 months ago. The Zorlathians claimed to rule over thousands of worlds. They called themselves the Zorlathian Empire. They said they wanted peace and trade, but something in their eyes made Lisa uneasy. Alan looked at her. "Do you trust them, Ambassador?" Lisa chose her words carefully. "Trust is earned, not given. Our job is to learn and assess." The Endeavour docked at the massive Zorlathian space station. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built, a city floating in space. Lisa led her team of 12 diplomats and scientists into the alien structure. The hallways were tall and wide, built for beings larger than humans. The air smelled like cinnamon and metal. Guards with weapons stood every 50 feet, watching the humans with all 3 of their yellow eyes. The High Council chamber was a huge round room. 7 elders or Lathians sat on raised platforms. They wore ornate robes with symbols that glowed softly. Lisa and her team looked small as they entered. "Welcome, humans," said the center counselor. "I am Supreme Elder Kraz. We are pleased you have come to discuss your place in our empire." Lisa noticed the choice of words. Not relations with our empire, but place in our empire. She smiled politely. "Thank you for your welcome, Supreme Elder. Earth and her colonies are eager to learn about our galactic neighbors." The talks went on for hours. The Zorlathians spoke of trade agreements that seemed to favor them heavily. They mentioned protection in ways that sounded more like control. When Lisa tried to discuss equal partnerships, the council members exchanged looks she couldn't read. Meanwhile, in another part of space, the human science vessel Starseeker approached an unusual star system. The ship carried 30 scientists and 10 families. including 17 children who were part of the Young Explorers Education Program. Captain Judy Mills looked at the readings on her screen. That's strange. These energy patterns don't match our predictions. Her science officer, Frank Powell, nodded. It's like something is interfering with the star's normal output. What they didn't know was that the star system was a secret Zorlathian weapons testing ground. As the Starseeker moved closer, hidden sensors detected it. Back at the space station, Lisa was in her third day of talks when her assistant, Paul Garcia, rushed into her quarters. "Ambassador, we've lost contact with the Starseeker," he said, his face pale. Lisa felt cold fear grip her chest. "When? How?" 2 hours ago. They were studying that unusual star system. Then all communications just stopped. Lisa immediately requested an emergency meeting with the Zorlathian Council. They seemed annoyed by the interruption. "What is the meaning of this, Ambassador Morris?" asked Supreme Elder Kraz. "One of our science vessels has gone missing in the Proxima Centauri sector," Lisa explained. "We've lost all contact. We request your help in the search and rescue operation." The council members looked at each other. Something passed between them, a look that made Lisa's skin crawl. "We know nothing of your missing ship," said Kraz. "Perhaps they encountered a solar flare. The sector you mentioned has been experiencing unusual stellar activity." Lisa noticed he didn't offer to help search. "Is it possible your ships in the area saw anything?" "We have no ships in that sector," another counselor said quickly. Too quickly. That night, Lisa received an encrypted message from Earth. The sender was General Sam Cooper, head of Earth Defense. "Ambassador, our long-range sensors detected weapons fire in the vicinity of the Starseeker before we lost contact. The energy signature doesn't match any known human weapon. Proceed with caution. The families of those on board have been notified that the ship is missing." Lisa felt sick. 17 children were on that ship. If the Zorlathians had attacked them. The next morning, a junior Zorlathian diplomat named Zexalar approached Lisa in a quiet corridor. "Ambassador Morris," he said softly, looking around to make sure they were alone. "I risk much by speaking to you. You should know that your vessel was not destroyed by natural causes." Lisa's heart pounded. "Tell me what happened." "I cannot say. More here. Trust nothing you are told by the council." With that, Zexalar hurried away. Hours later, the Zorlathian High Council called Lisa to an urgent meeting. Their faces were solemn. "Ambassador Morris," said Supreme Elder Kraz, "we regret to inform you that debris matching your Starseeker vessel has been found. Our patrols discovered it by chance. All evidence suggests the ship was destroyed by an intense solar flare. We extend our condolences." Lisa knew they were lying. The cold certainty of it filled her with rage and grief. 40 adults and 17 children dead, murdered, but she kept her face calm. "Thank you for this information. Earth will want to examine the debris." "Of course," said Kraz, "though it may take some time to arrange." As Lisa left the council chamber, she received another encrypted message. This one contained sensor readings from a secret human probe near the Starseeker's last position. The readings showed Zorlathian warships firing on the science vessel until it broke apart. Lisa knew what she had to do. She would gather undeniable proof. She would find allies among the Zorlathians like Zexalar, and when the time was right, she would confront the Empire with its crime. For now, she sent a simple message back to Earth. "They're lying. The Starseeker was attacked. Begin preparations. I'll find proof." As Lisa stared out the viewport at the vast Zorlathian fleet surrounding the station, she wondered if humanity had just met its greatest threat. The stars no longer looked beautiful. They looked cold and dangerous, filled with enemies who could destroy a ship full of children and lie about it without remorse. But they had made a mistake. They had underestimated humans. They had no idea what was coming. Captain Ryan Carter moved silently through the lower levels of the Orlathian space station. His uniform was gone, replaced by the plain clothes of a maintenance worker. A stolen access card hung from his belt. The dim blue lights of the maintenance Tunnels cast strange shadows on his face. Ryan was not supposed to be here. As military intelligence, he should have stayed aboard the Endeavour. But Ambassador Lisa Morris had asked him personally to find proof of what really happened to the Starseeker. 40 adults and 17 children were dead. Someone had to find the truth. His earpiece crackled softly. Any progress? Lisa's voice was barely above a whisper. I'm approaching their data center now, Ryan replied. If records of the attack exist, they'll be there. Ryan checked his small scanner. No Zorlathian life signs nearby. He moved to a heavy metal door marked with alien symbols. The stolen card worked. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, blue light pulsed from hundreds of crystal data cores. Each was the size of a human fist. Together, they stored the secrets of the Empire. Ryan pulled out a device no bigger than a pen. Earth's best scientists had built it to hack alien systems. He connected it to the nearest crystal and waited. Meanwhile, Lisa sat across from Supreme Elder Kraz in what the Zorlathians called a friendship meal. The food looked like glowing blue jelly. It smelled like burnt sugar. We are deeply saddened by your loss, Kraz said. His 3 yellow eyes blinked in sequence. Solar flares are unpredictable. Your ship was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Lisa nodded politely. The families of the crew are anxious to recover any remains. Of course, Kraz said, but the debris field is dangerous. We will send our ships. We would prefer to send our own, Lisa insisted. Kraz's middle eye narrowed. That will not be possible. The area is restricted. Restricted? Lisa raised an eager eyebrow. You said it was just a dangerous debris field. Yes. Restricted because it is dangerous. Kraz's tone ended the discussion. Back on Earth, Olivia Wells stared at the official notice. Her daughter Amy had been on the Starseeker as part of the Young Explorers program. Amy was 12 with her mother's curly hair and her father's quick smile. The notice said the ship was presumed lost with all hands due to a solar event. Olivia didn't believe it. As a former space engineer, she knew the Starseeker had shields designed to withstand solar flares. Something else had happened. She wasn't alone. 26 other families had lost someone on the Starseeker. They started to connect online, sharing their doubts, demanding answers. In her small apartment, Olivia set up a wall of pictures and information. Amy's smiling face was in the center. Around it, Olivia pinned everything she could find about the ship's last mission, the star system it was studying, and the Zorlathian Empire. I'll find the truth, Amy, she whispered to the photo. I promise. In the data center, Ryan's device blinked green. It had broken the encryption. He scrolled through alien text, translated roughly by his device. Most of it was routine ship movements and supply reports. Then he found it. A classified military directive, issued 3 days before the Starseeker disappeared. Unidentified vessel approaching restricted testing area, it read. Permission granted to eliminate threat using prototype dispersal cannon. Leave no evidence. Ryan's hands shook as he copied the file. Then he found more. Tactical communications. From a Zorlathian warship called the Void Hunter. Target locked. Human vessel identified as Starseeker. Weapons hot. First volley direct hit. Their shields are failing. Target breaking up. Confirmed destruction of human vessel. No survivors detected. Mission complete. Ryan felt cold rage build inside him. He copied everything, then carefully disconnected his device. As he turned to leave, he heard heavy footsteps outside the door. 2 Zorlathian guards entered. They were 7 feet tall, with armored skin and weapons that could vaporize a human in seconds. Ryan pressed himself into a dark corner behind the crystal arrays. The guards walked slowly through the room, checking each row of data crystals. Ryan held his breath. They were just feet away when both guards received a message on their communicators. They turned and left quickly. Ryan waited 30 seconds, then slipped out. Lisa had arranged a distraction on the other side of the station. 3 decks above, Lisa was apologizing to a group of angry Zorlathian officials. I'm so sorry for the confusion. I was told this section was open to the diplomatic team. The officials were distracted enough not to notice Ryan slip back onto the Endeavor. Once safely aboard, Ryan showed Lisa what he had found. Her face grew hard as she read the translated files. They murdered them, she said quietly. They murdered children, then sat across from me and lied about it. What do we do now? Ryan asked. We need more. This proves they attacked the ship, but we need to know why. And we need to find allies. Lisa looked at the data again. There was a name in one of those reports. Zexlar. He tried to warn me earlier. We need to find him. Finding Zexlar proved easier than expected. The junior diplomat contacted Lisa himself, requesting a private meeting about cultural exchange programs. It was obviously code. They met in a small garden area on the station. Alien plants with purple leaves reached toward an artificial sun. Zexlar looked nervous, his gray-blue skin darker than usual. I have little time, he said. They are watching me. Why did they attack our ship? Lisa asked directly. Zexlar's 3 eyes blinked rapidly. Your ship discovered something it shouldn't have. The star system it was studying contains a weapon. Testing facility. A new kind of planet killer. Lisa felt her blood run cold. A planet killer? Yes. The High Council fears your species. You expand quickly. You adapt. In just 100 years of space travel, you've colonized more worlds than most species do in 500. Zexlar looked around nervously. There is a faction in our government that believes humanity should be controlled now, before you become too powerful. They murdered children, Lisa said. To them, they were just eliminating witnesses, Zexlar replied. Our empire has existed for 10,000 years. We see your species as barely sentient like clever animals. Lisa controlled her anger. Not all Zorlathians think this way. No, many of us believe in true galactic cooperation. But we are not in power. Zexlar handed her a small crystal. This contains locations of other weapon tests, ships that were involved, names of officers who gave the orders. Use it carefully. Why are you helping us? Lisa asked. Because I've studied your people. I know you're not animals, and because what was done was wrong. With that, Zexlar hurried away. Back on the Endeavor, Lisa's team analyzed the new information. It painted a disturbing picture. The Zorlathian military had been planning for possible conflict with humans for years. The diplomatic mission was just a way to study human behavior up close. We need to get this information back to Earth, Lisa said, but we can't leave yet. If we go suddenly, they'll know we've discovered something. Ryan nodded. We need more. We need recordings, images of the attack if possible. The ship that Mo fired on the Starseeker, Lisa said. The Void Hunter. It must have visual records. Breaking into a Zorlathian warship? Ryan shook his head. That's suicide. Maybe not, Lisa said. According to Zexlar's information, the Void Hunter will dock here for maintenance in 2 days. On Earth, Olivia Wells had become the spokesperson for the Starseeker families. They held a memorial service that was broadcast worldwide. Billions watched as 17 small coffins, each with a photo of a child, were carried past. The coffins were empty. There were no bodies to bury. Olivia spoke with quiet dignity. We are told our children died in a solar flare. We are told it was a tragic accident. We don't believe it. We demand the truth. The speech went viral. Protests formed outside government buildings. People wanted answers. 2 days later, Ryan led a small team onto the Void Hunter. They wore maintenance uniforms and carried fake work orders. The massive warship was quiet, with most of its crew on leave. They found the bridge empty except for a skeleton crew. While 2 team members created a distraction in engineering, Ryan accessed the ship's visual logs. And there it was. Crystal. Clear images of the Starseeker, a small science vessel with Earth painted on its side. The recording showed the Zorlathian ship firing repeatedly until the human vessel broke apart. The final images showed debris and bodies floating in space. Some were very small. Ryan copied everything. His hand shook with rage, but he kept working. As they left the ship, an alarm sounded. Their fake IDs had been discovered. "Run!" Ryan shouted. His team sprinted for the airlock connecting to the station. Zorlathian security forces fired weapons behind them. Energy bolts hit the wall inches from Ryan's head. They made it back to the Endeavor with the evidence. Lisa immediately called an emergency meeting with her staff. "We have everything we need," she said. "Proof of the attack. Proof that it was planned. Proof that they're developing weapons to use against Earth." "What now?" Ryan asked. Lisa's face was set with grim determination. "Now I request a formal audience with the full High Council, and I bring Olivia Wells and the other parents with me, as holograms, of course. It's time to confront the Zorlathian Empire with what they've done." "They'll deny it," someone said. "Not when I play the recording of their ships firing on children." Lisa stood up. "Send everything we have to Earth immediately. If something happens to us, Earth needs to be prepared."